There was positive injury news from Thomas Frank in his press conference on Friday. The Spurs have 5 players available that were doubts. A report claims that the door is open for Richarlison to make a sensational move back to Everton in the January transfer window. And Thomas Frank speaks on developing players and investment in the team. Here are your daily Tottenham news headlines. Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name's Craig and here are your daily Tottenham news headlines where I'll be going through all the latest news, rumours and reports. If you're watching on YouTube and are not already as yet subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so. Like, share and comment below. And if you're listening on an audio platform, please do hit that follow button and leave a review if you can. Okay, let's get into it. There was positive news for once on the injury front from Thomas Frank in his press conference on Friday. Frank stated that Lucas Bergvall, Archie Graham, Hamid Kudus, Randall Kolo-Muani and Pat Matasar are all available for Sunday's North London derby at the Emirates. Kolo-Muani picked up a jaw injury last time out against Manchester United, ruling him out of international duty with France, while Sarr has recovered from a knock that forced him off after 49 minutes of Senegal's friendly against Brazil. Kudus and Bergvall have missed our last 2 matches against FC Copenhagen and United after picking up injuries against Chelsea. Kudus with a knock and Bergvall having to sit out under concussion protocols. He also missed international duty for Sweden. Meanwhile, Gray has missed 4 matches and England under-21 duty with a calf strain. All 5 players have trained and all 5 are back in contention for the North London derby. Speaking at his pre-match press conference on Friday, Frank reported Pape trained well today. He's available. Lucas trained today. Ready, available. Kolo-Muani, yes, trained today, available. Of course, he'll be wearing a mask. Asked later about Gray and Kudus, Frank confirmed both had also trained on Friday and after the press conference confirmed that both were available. Now I need to make difficult decisions, he added. Solanke is still out as he continues to recover from ankle surgery, but is apparently progressing well. A report in the Everton News states that the door could be open for Richarlison to return to Everton in January. Ancelotti dropped Richarlison from Brazil's starting 11 for the recent game against Senegal at the Emirates. With Richarlison needing solid minutes for the remainder of the term and Everton needing a new striker, an interesting January awaits. Speaking on BBC Sport, Everton reporter Gwilla Bold has stated her thoughts on how Everton might be able to re-sign the Tottenham forward. The Blues boss has already stated that he will look at strengthening his squad in January, but he also warned it is notoriously difficult to operate in, with prices often hiked up. A loan could be a good fit for Everton if Spurs were open to it. The Brazil international has made just 4 league starts this term, but there is no suggestion right now that they would be willing to let the player go. There have been a lot of Tottenham fans urging Richarlison to leave for Everton in the January transfer window. It has been a real struggle for the former Blues striker in North London, with injuries playing a big part in his struggles with the Lily Whites. There would certainly be some risk in the potential of re-signing Richarlison, given Everton need a striker who is going to guarantee them goals. It's been suggested that Richarlison is open to leaving Spurs over the coming months though, as he eyes regular football. This is a player who would land back on Merseyside with a real point to prove ahead of next summer's World Cup. A report in The Guardian relates that Thomas Frank has said that Tottenham are not close to emulating Arsenal by spending £100 million on one player. Arsenal, top going into Sunday's North London derby, showed their intent when they bought Declan Rice from West Ham for £105 million in 2023. Spurs' record buy is £60 million in Richarlison. Frank is unsure whether his predecessor Ange Postecoglou was right to predict last year that Spurs will never spend £100 million on one player in the next 50 years. To build, you need a combination of time and doing the processes, depending on where the team come from, of course. But to stay up, there is still very difficult. So time and process, and then, of course, investment. If you want success in football, you need to invest in players, hopefully to do it cleverly, and we want to do it smart, so we don't invest too much on the wrong players. but you need to invest. 100 million? I don't know. Let's see. I don't think we are close to spending £100 million, put it that way. Frank considered whether Spurs, who are fifth, would need to spend heavily to catch Arsenal. He said, I'm a big believer that we need to develop the players we have. If you can develop players, not all of them should cost 60, 70, 80, 90 million, whatever the amount. I don't think anybody has done that. Liverpool didn't do that to get to the top. Even City hasn't done that. You need to be good at developing the players, which I believe we are. You also need to invest in the right potential of a player. Declan Rice is a good example. How old was he when he joined Arsenal? 24, 25? That's important. Nobody achieves the top without investing. Spurs received £100 million from the Lewis family last month, with further funding poised to follow that will provide Frank with more spending power. And he is optimistic he will be backed by the board. They definitely said they are there for the long term and they want to be here for the long term and they want to have success, he said. I'm confident they will back us to do everything we can to build a successful club. Okay, well, here's my thoughts on all those stories today. Firstly, it's great actually to get a positive injury news update from Thomas Frank. These five players available and fit. I mean, Callum Moani, you saw that coming, that he could play in a mask. Good news. We received good news, didn't we, earlier? Was it last week that the jaw injury wasn't as bad as first suspected? Thought Moani could have been out till the new year, to be honest with you. But wearing a mask, hopefully he's, well, it sounds like he is fit. Frank said he is fit to play and he's going to play in this mask, so that's really good. Gives us another option up front. Possibly, I mean, is Moani going to start over the likes of Tell or Richarlison? I said before, I thought Tell probably deserved a chance to start after his performance at Manchester United, and Odebear, of course, on the wing. I think Odebear's probably a shoo-in on that left wing against Arsenal. I would hope so anyway. So, you know, Thomas Frank's got to decide, is it going to be Tell up in the number 9 position, Moani or Richarlison? I think it's got to be out of Tell or Moani, to be honest. It's just how many minutes he wants to give Moani and how much they're going to risk that. Obviously, they think he's ready to play because they've said he can play in a mask. So let's see. It gives you a bit more optimism going into the North London derby. The fact, you know, he's got players like your Archie Gray, certainly Lucas Bergvall. I think, you know, he's a phenomenal young player. I think that's a really good boost to have Bergvall back, and of course Sarr as well. So options in that midfield. Personally, I still think he's probably going to go with Bentancur and Paulinho, but I would love to see Lucas Bergvall start actually against Arsenal. Just go for it a little bit. Richarlison to Everton was the next story, of course. I've been saying this for a little while. Personally, I think if we can look, Richarlison splits opinion. I personally don't think he's done enough when he's been given the opportunity. He started the season pretty well, playing really well actually, and I thought this is going to be the turnaround for Richarlison. It just hasn't happened. I think the most goals he's got in a Premier League season is 13. That's not what your number 9 should be getting. You should be 20 plus for me. I think this could work out well for everybody if Everton want Richarlison back, of course. He's going back. He'd be going back to a club that love him and know him well. He knows the fans and everything about the club, even if it's on a loan. I think this could work out well. He would get more minutes at Everton, you would think, than he would ever get at Tottenham for the second half of the season, and hopefully for him, he could get back into the Brazil squad as Brazil's number 9. So I wouldn't be against this. I still think we need to bring in a number 9 to replace him. Of course we would, but that does open a few more doors and options for Thomas Frank and Spurs if they can get Richarlison, even if it is on loan, as I say, to Everton. So let's see how that one plays out. And finally, Frank, on developing players, I do agree with Thomas Frank here. We do need to, you're a football coach, I do like to see a coach developing players and making them better. Obviously a different way of playing than under Ange Postecoglou that the players are still learning. I'm kind of in between where I am with the type of football we're playing. Is it purely down to the players available to Thomas Frank? Yes, we've got injuries in the creative players. I totally get that. But sometimes I just find us a bit frustrating to watch. Is that purely a players thing? I don't know. Get down in the comments and let me know. Or is this the way Frank would play if he had a fully fit squad with the likes of Maddison and Kulusevski? I'm kind of on the fence with it. I think we'd be playing this way regardless of who we had in the squad. But there's definitely obviously a drop off with the creativity when you lose the likes of Kulusevski and Maddison. But Frank's right. Look, you've got to develop players. It shouldn't be all about buying players in. But he has actually said there, and I do agree with him there, that he's kind of laid it down at Enoch still, really, saying that he did mention investment in the team. Didn't think we'd spend £100 million on a player like Arsenal did with Declan Rice. And I don't think any of us would necessarily want that. We just want world-class and first-choice team players to come into the squad, like the likes of Semenyo. And there's more rumours around today. I wasn't going to sling it in today's video because you've heard it all before, nothing new. The likes of Semenyo, £65 million, £70 million release clause, whoever it is, whether that's Semenyo or it could be Savinho or whoever it is, that's the type of player we want to see coming into Spurs. And that just shows real ambition. And for me, that is what the fans want to see, these exciting players coming in. Game changers is the word I'm looking for, game changers. We want these players through the door, and that's the only way, in my opinion, we're ever going to compete, because yes, you need to develop the current players you've got in the squad, but you also need to bring these quality players through the door to help the manager and help the team. So let's hope Spurs have a really strong transfer window in January. But before all of that, of course, it's the North London derby this weekend. Get down in the comments, let me know your thoughts on this match coming up. How are we going to do? Who would you play? And give me a score prediction. And as always, come on you Spurs.